What's going on, everyone? My name is Cooper, and I'm with,
I'm Sutton Bassett, guys. Hello.
and welcome to episode 2 of the On Deck Circle. We are finally back, as baseball is finally back as well, as the MLB lockout ended last Thursday, the 10th. And we're just really happy to be able to finally be back to talk about our favorite sport and be able to take a deep dive in all the moves that have been made so far since the end of the lockout and a bunch of the new rules that were instituted due to the new labor agreement. So, Sutton, what's your feeling after that lockout ended?
Well, the lockout officially ended on 3/10, and I can just say I'm very happy. It's been a very long time since we've last had a baseball game, and I think it's a great time to start.
Mm-hmm. So it's good that we actually get the 162 game season. As we thought that 2 weeks of the season were actually going to be canceled. It was just kind of just a whirlwind of emotions throughout the lockout, and it's just great that we're able to just like forget about it and look forward to a season that many people thought we may have not even had this year. So we're just gonna start it off with some of the new rules that were instituted due to the new agreement that they are reached. Some of them are pretty big that will probably not even probably, but definitely will change baseball this year. So, Son, you want to take a dive into some of these rule changes?
Sure. So the first one is that there's now a 12-team expanded playoff season.
So we had 10 in previous years, and now we got 12. I was hoping for maybe like a 14 because we could have like a bye, just like football does it. Like the best team
Mhm.
deserves a bye, but I guess they don't like having teams just like skip a round of playoffs just based on like record. But 12, I'm mixed emotions. I mean, right now it's tough to really see, but I think it'll be pretty cool because some teams, like especially last year, were like the Blue Jays and some other teams in the National League were only like one game away from making the playoffs, and they had the team to go far away in the playoffs, but still weren't able to make it because of the limited spots in the playoffs. So I feel like 12-team playoffs will bring in that extra team from each league to that they could even make the difference, even though they were only maybe like third place in their division.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. Next up, we have the universal DH.
What's your opinion on that?
So, I mean, as we can see with really good hitters and two-way players like Shohei Ohtani, pitchers can actually, be very good hitters in clutch situations as well. So, I mean, I don't really think this universal DH is needed because the pitchers can put in the same amount of effort position players are doing right now to hit the ball.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's just definitely a limited capacity of those pitchers like Ohtani. I mean, Ohtani will still be able to be in that DH role every game, even when he starts. So I feel like that's not going to be a problem for him. And also like players coming up in the system who also have looked like two-way players just like Ohtani. But I feel like there's definitely going to be a relief to even some of the pitchers who actually can hit well, because I feel like it definitely adds a lot to them as they're pitching in a game. They have to go up to bat, and there's like a risk of an injury, risk of having to run out a ball, and I think it just adds too much to the National League pitchers. So I feel like universal DH would definitely help. And this is definitely going to play a big role in the free agents that are left. And because the National League teams are actually be looking for a DH now. So mhm.
Fantastic. All right. Next
Yeah.
up, there's now a 9-inning doubleheader possibility.
Yeah. Well, we're just back to the normal double headers because last year we had 7.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't mind the 7 inning double headers. Just made those 2 games go by a bit quicker. It did feel really weird that baseball, I mean, like the game was ending in the 7th inning. But I feel like back to 9 innings will be fine, and I don't think that'll be that big of a change.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And a really great rule that they just announced is that there's no runner on second to start extra innings.
Yeah. What's your opinion on that rule?
I never liked the runner on second to start extra innings. I don't really think there was a need for it. It just gave the hitting team an opportunity to end the game earlier. So I think by removing that runner, teams can play each other more fairly.
Yeah, I just feel like you could just have something happen in the inning, and then right when you're in the bottom of the inning, and the team can just get a couple bunts here and there and win the game. So I feel like it definitely wasn't even. And you could happen to have like a really fast runner on base because he was the last out as well. So I feel like it definitely didn't really fit baseball in general, because it just seemed very like luck based more than actual like strategy and stuff. So I feel like just going back to normal, even though it'll probably make the extra innings go by a bit slower than last year's, that the rule was actually instituted, but I feel like that won't be that big of a change, just like the double headers. So I'm excited to be back to the normal.
Likewise. All right. And finally, there is now a home run derby in extra innings for the All-Star game.
Yeah, that's actually just so fun to hear. I mean, there's definitely a chance. And I'm really interested to hear like how that'll work out. And if we happen to end up seeing that, that'll be so like exciting. I don't know what they're gonna do with just choose the players that are currently in the lineup for the All-Star game, like not the starters, or they can just pick anyone on the roster. I have no clue how they're gonna do that, but it definitely adds a component to the All-Star game, and makes it a lot more exciting, because just that time of the baseball, like in the middle of that season, is just the most exciting part of the year, where you get to watch your favorite players do home run derbies and also play in an all-star game against each other and some of the most packed teams. And that'll just add another component to something that you want to look forward to and tune in to when the all-star game is on.
Yeah, absolutely. And in reality, the All-Star game is mainly for fun. It's just to show off the best players in the league. And I think by doing this home run derby, we can show them off even better than we were.
Yeah, and it's great that the All-Star game for baseball is still for fun, but still at the same time you see the top pitchers in baseball so swinging it with 100 miles per hour, and you see the fastest guys in the league running it out and stealing bases and stuff. It's definitely a lot different from what you would see in the Pro Bowl and the NBA All-Star game, which is great to see. It's a fun game, and also you see the best players in the game actually show out with their actual assets and make them the best players in the game. So it's definitely another component that'll make it so much more exciting. And it was already really exciting from the beginning.
Absolutely.
Mhm. And so we got like 3 rule changes that were proposed that they were trying to decide on the labor deal. I'm a bit unsure if they actually are instituting these. Those are actually some big changes. By the only rules that we know are going in, and the ones that we just talked about, but they also talked about like an increased base size, a pitch clock, and some shift restrictions. I feel like all of these would be pretty good for the game. I'm not really against any of them. The increased base size is, I would have to look into that a bit more to understand why exactly or how much bigger they're doing for the base sizes. Pitch clock definitely make the game go by a bit quicker, just like what they try to do with the 7 inning doubleheaders, as that's a problem for baseball right now with how long the games are. And then shift restrictions are going to be big for those players who have shifts on them every single time they're up to bat. So hopefully these go in, and hopefully we get more information to see why they're going in. What's your opinion on them?
I mean, I think the pitch clock is probably a good idea. So because keep the game in a good tempo and everyone's kind of on the same page. But the base sizes and the shift restrictions, I don't see why there's a point. I mean, the base sizes, people say it's going to increase the number of infield hits, but well, it's only increasing by like 3 inches. And the first baseman's also closer to the play at hand. I mean, in the shift, it's just where your players are playing. So it's kind of pretty stupid if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of players that come out and had like argued the shift, like Gallo and David Ortiz really was against it as well when he was playing. But I really don't know, because there's no way they can remove the shift, because there's nothing like wrong with the shift, because there is no barrier for where a player can stand. But and when it's called shift restrictions, so not like shift removal. So I don't know if they have like a certain like number of times they can restrict the shift, and they can like utilize that for players that have like the very extreme shifts. Like some teams put 4 guys in the outfield for those power guys, and only hit to one certain part of the field. So, I mean, when I think of restrictions, maybe just like the amount of like they have an amount that they can use, but so these all of these rules, I'm just thinking I just want more information until I really make an opinion on it. But I mean, first looks, they don't seem too bad.
Yeah, I mean, they're not that game changing.
Mhm. Well, so now that we have a deal and now that moves are happening within the hour, the season will be beginning on April 7th. And actually today of the day that we're recording, the 13th, players are actually reporting to spring training for the first time. They're hitting in the cages, training on the field with their team for the first time since back in December. So it's great to see, and it's definitely exciting. And opening day will be on the 7th. So it's definitely going to be some exciting baseball that we'll be able to watch our favorite teams play some spring training games, and also maybe have some new additions to those to our favorite teams, like even before and after those spring training games, as a lot of these free agents are still left to sign. But yeah, I'm really excited. Son.
Same here, man. All right,
Yeah.
so now we're going to talk about some moves that have recently happened.
Mm-hmm. So we can go from the very beginning. I'm going to go a bit out of order right here, but one of the biggest signings that happened a few days back from the day we're recording, Carlos Rodon went to the Giants. He was probably the number one pitching option free agent still there, because he wasn't signed before the lockout, and a lot of teams were trying to jump into that sweepstakes. And actually, the Giants came out on top, and they signed him to a 2-year deal. He's definitely going to help the Giants, who are a sneaky team because they had the best record in baseball last year somehow. And just adding a guy like Rodon, while they also lost one of they're probably their best starter from last year, Kevin Gausman. It's going to be that Rodon's going to definitely help the Giants.
Yeah,
Mhm.
100% on that. I agree with you.
Mhm. And then we can go to, let me see. So we had, and then probably the second best free agent. So a lot of the pitchers have gone so far, and that's what a lot of people predicted, because teams need pitchers right now, while some of the biggest hitters are still left to be signed. But you say Kikuchi went to the Blue Jays from the Mariners, and Kikuchi is definitely going to help that Blue Jays rotation, as now they have one of the best rotations in baseball, as their rotation was a problem for them last year. So now they got Godsman, they got Barrios, they got Ryu, they got Kikuchi. They got loads of options there, and that's definitely going to help them in their stacked division that they're in.
Oh,
Son,
yeah,
do you want to just pick
100%.
one to talk about?
Yeah, and speaking of really good rotations, along with the Blue Jays, the Mets have an insane rotation right now with Ottavino going to the Mets.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ottavino would go to the bullpen.
Yep.
But adding to that rotation was Chris Bassett, who was traded yesterday. This is the day that we were recording. Yesterday, he was traded to the Mets, probably the Athletics' best pitcher. And Athletics are just selling everyone right now in trades, as the Mets have added their third past Athletics player, including Marte and Canna. So now they have, I don't know, probably one or two best rotation in baseball now that they got DeGrom, Scherzer, Bassett, Carrasco, and Taijuan Walker. So the Mets are looking good along with the Blue Jays. So definitely teams that have focused on that pitching for this offseason.
Yeah, hitters are going to have a really hard time against the Mets this year. So
Yeah.
next up, the White Sox have added Josh Harrison and Joe Kelly.
Yeah, so yesterday they just like back to back signed two solid players, not the biggest names, but Josh Harrison would definitely help in the utility role, where we've seen him in the outfield and also definitely in the infield, as he's a primary second baseman. We've seen him at third with the Nationals, maybe a shortstop, but he can play pretty much anywhere, and that's definitely going to help the White Sox, who need that depth, as they are one of the best teams in baseball right now. Joe Kelly, the guy who was on the Red Sox. You remember Joe Kelly, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I mean, he's joining the White Sox as he was on the Dodgers last year, and he's definitely a sneaky arm that can be put in around like the fifth or sixth inning that throws hard and get some key guys out and definitely help that already really good bullpen of the White Sox.
For sure. Another one that happened was that the Rangers send Isaiah Kerner Falefa to the Twins, and catcher Mitch Garver is headed to Texas.
Yeah, so they did a switcheroo of catchers in quotation, because Kiner Falefa was more like the shortstop last year, and he also could play catcher. So he's definitely one of the most looked at players this year when looking for a trade. But the Twins made the first grab, and and the Rangers liked what they were sending back as Mitch Garver, who had a extremely good year, very powerful hitter. Back in 2019, was it? Yeah, I think 2020. So Mitch
Yep.
Garver had a really good year back then, and that's definitely going to help. Both teams are they're not really in the playoff area right now. Texas definitely have bolstered their team a lot, so they are definitely looking forward to it. And then now that they have a really good catcher behind the plate, that's definitely going to help them. And then Connor Flayfeld will definitely try to help the Twins get back into the winning column, as they did have a very poor year last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, Kershaw is headed back to the Dodgers for a year.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Kershaw was definitely up in the air. A lot of Dodgers fans didn't want to lose him, as the Dodgers rotation used to be probably the best, and now it's kind of looking a bit weaker. As now, as before Kershaw was back there, they only had Bueller and Urias. So now Kershaw's back, and he's definitely going to be a good number 3 for that rotation, and he's definitely going to help them. And hopefully he can keep it up, as he is ending it's nearing the end of his really good career. Definitely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, hands down. All right. Did we already talk about Rodon to the Giants?
Yeah.
All right. And
And then
then
we just
Simmons is
we had a couple
Yep.
quick ones. Yeah, so we had Anderson Simmons went to the Cubs. The Cubs are definitely looking for a shortstop, as they are one of the biggest guys looking to get Correa. I don't think it totally rules them out of getting Correa right now, as the Cubs are trying to get back to their winning ways after they pretty much got rid of everyone last year. But Simmons right now is their shortstop, but I mean, they could end up going out and getting Correa and moving Simmons to like third or second, something like that. And then also Jake Diekman went to the Red Sox just not too long ago. He's definitely a great lefty arm for that Red Sox bullpen, that probably the weaker side of that team, and definitely is going to help them, and probably just serve as a late inning pitcher to get some big outs. So that's definitely big for the Red Sox. Red Sox is definitely focused on pitching, not getting any of the bigger names, but it's definitely added to some parts that's definitely so far has made them look a lot better than last year.
For sure. All right. And now finally we have Diekman to the Red Sox. Let's go,
Yeah,
baby.
just said that.
Okay. Awesome. So
we got
just have a couple
we got some big free agents
left.
left. You want to listen?
Yeah, sure.
Hmm.
So we have Correa, which we just talked about. We have Trevor Story. We have Freeman, Castellanos, Bryant, Schwarber, Rizzo, and Jansen.
Yeah, so like I said before, we had a lot of the teams are focused on pitchers right now, and pretty much all the guys Sutton just named are just big hitters, and we'll probably see those going in the next few days. And I wouldn't be surprised if Freeman actually gets signed later today, because the market's been we've heard a lot of talks from him, as like the Braves are looking like a front runner along with the Dodgers. The Dodgers have definitely had significant interest, and actually I'm pretty sure they offered him a multi-year deal. So I feel like it's between them. Yankees are definitely an option for Freeman as well. So a lot of teams are trying to get Freeman right now. Not too much I've heard about Correa. It looks like the Yankees are willing to spend the big bucks, but that's just rumors. Trevor Story looking like maybe going to the Cardinals, to the Yankees if Correa doesn't end up there. Maybe Mariners. Same with Bryant, looking like maybe he's going to go to the Mariners. Could be a new outfielder for a team. Schwarber definitely going up there. There's a lot of teams. He could go to a National League team as well, as he would probably serve better as a DH, as now the universal DH. Rizzo, just a good first baseman for any team. Haven't heard too much about him. And Castellanos looks like he's probably going to maybe go to Miami, another team that's looking for a corner outfielder or a DH. And then we also have Jansen, who's our lone pitcher right here, and he's definitely going to be a sought after guy, as he's definitely still a good closer, and he could end up going back to the Dodgers, but a lot of other teams are going to be looking at him as well.
Yes, sir. I would kind of like to see Freeman go back to the Braves if that was possible, because they were a pretty stacked team and they did win the World Series. So it would be good to see him with his friends again.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, well, we're going to be having a lot more podcasts in the next few weeks as the season's going to be starting. More of these top players going to be signing on teams. We're probably going to have some guests join us with their opinions on these players signing, and also big games coming up. So expect more of the On Deck Circle here on Sage Creek Sports Lounge, and make sure you're subscribing to Sage Creek Sports Lounge, and so you don't miss any of our next episodes. And anything else to add, son?
Hit the bell icon, guys, so you can be notified whenever we produce an amazing podcast.
Yeah, and look out for other sports coming as well. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.
See you guys.